Sunday Surefire Podcast. I'm your host, the Commish. Joining me today is the co-host, Aaron Downtown Brown,
Hey, hey.
and the other co-host, the one and only Ethan Weaver.
Mish, how we doing?
We're hanging in there, my man. The fantasy football season in the year 2023 is officially over. Crazy to think
It
about
is crazy.
that in the blink of an eye. It feels like it was just yesterday. We were talking redraft that the this upcoming season was gonna, it's gonna be here. It's gonna stick around for a while. We're gonna love football and fall and everything that comes with it. And then just like that, it all just comes and goes so fast each and every year. So in most leagues have been decided here by week 17. But that doesn't mean the NFL season ends. We're definitely going to be talking some DFS for week 18 and some of the strategy that goes into that. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't take at least a couple of minutes here to talk about how our seasons went quickly for the 2023 season. So how'd you boys do this year? It'll start with you, Ethan. How'd you do this season, whether it be redraft, dynasty, what have you? How did it pan out for you in 2023?
Overall, it was a pretty great year for me. I made the playoffs in all my redraft leagues and won 50% of them. So I was champion in 2 of 4. So I was pretty pumped about that. I won one of my dynasty leagues that I've been on the cusp for the last couple of years. I kind of slow. I know we talked about this before the show tonight. I kind of had a slow roll approach in the startup draft, and the build took probably a year longer than I wanted to, but I finally broke through and won a dynasty championship in one of our leagues together. And then our best ball tournament there went pretty well for me. I won the most points. Unfortunately, I got knocked out of the playoffs after the bye, but it is what it is. But overall, it was a very good year for me. I won 3 championships. Can't complain with that.
Definitely not. You bring home 3 titles, you're not gonna be upset about that at all. Personally, I ended up bringing home 2 championships, both of them on the dynasty front, which was awesome. Both leagues at one point I was rebuilding in, so that's a really good feeling to slap that together. Particularly one that 3 of us play in was a league that I took over another manager's team after the first year, and it was kind of an older team and with some workable pieces, but definitely not great. And the first thing I did was strip that thing all down. Had no interest in winning games for 2 years. Went through a tactical rebuild, came out with ended up going 16-1 this season, or 15-1 rather. Great year altogether. Capped that off with the championship. Pretty much wire to wire, the best team in that league in terms of wins and points and all
Oh,
that. So,
easy. No, that's me and Aaron's league over there.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Stepping on territory now.
Yeah, I
it
know.
is, and there's a new
This
sheriff
means
in
war.
town. If you're objective and go by things like wins and points that are all that matter at the end of the day, then there's a new sheriff in town at least for 1 year. So hopefully you guys can get up on my level and give me some competition next season. But
Yeah, to add to
we'll
the
see.
story, yeah, I've been in the championships every single year since that league started. I believe Aaron has 2, or basically 2 of the 3 years that the league's been running. So me and Aaron have been consistently in the championship. I won it back-to-back years, and unfortunately, the commish got the better end this year. So I do got to tip my cap to him. It's he's the captain now.
You can tell how sensitive he was about that. He had to go out of the way to tell everyone that he was in the finals before, and all of a sudden, I lift a finger to try to win one time and come home with a championship. So I'm batting 1,000 over here in terms of trying to win. So we'll go with that here. Aaron, do you have anything to add on the championship front?
Hey, I'm gonna tack it on. It's a sore spot for me too, as Ethan said. I'm usually at the championship with them each year in that league. Did make the playoffs. In the off season, I did condense my leagues down a little bit, focus on the pod and research. But I went down to 3 leagues. I did make playoffs in all 3. Sad, I lost first round in the one we were just talking about. But I was in the championship in my 2 others, so I went 3 for 3 overall as far as playoff runs go. But unfortunately finished second in both. So a little disappointing there. Lost to you, commission one league, 3 by about 3 points.
Oh, you
Kind of
did?
sad. Derek
Let's talk about that
Henry
one,
gets stuffed at the 1. I think that's his new thing these days, and Chuba Hubbard as well. So I guess football is a game of inches, but so is fantasy football. as well. And then our Sunday Surefire League that we just created this year too as well. I know Ethan mentioned that. I made it to the championship there, and that was a kind of a very interesting finish to the year. We kind of had a Cinderella story we're hoping to share here in a couple of weeks as well. But lost. I got CD Lambed in the championship. So what more can you say after that?
Yeah, if you're on the wrong side of CeeDee Lamb this week, you probably didn't end up having the best fortune in week 17, and which it can really stink when you're on the wrong side of those things because you have a great season, you put it all together, and it just doesn't come out the way it's supposed to at the end. I've been on the wrong side of a lot of these a lot of these matchups
No,
in week 17 over the
not
years.
you, Kamish.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a lot of powerhouse teams that have scored a ton of points, won a lot of games, and then it doesn't break my way at the end. But fortunately, 2023 was not one of those years for me. Got a couple well-earned dynasty championships. So that was really good to see that hard work pay off. But we'll continue putting that work in right away. I mean that starts really, this week, trying to get those championships in 2024. So
There
we'll
is no off
definitely
season.
there's absolutely no off season in dynasty, especially, but even in a redraft, you got to make sure you're paying attention to everything in the off season, from free agent signings to the draft, and just kind of how the NFL teams themselves are looking. And we'll be here for you every step of the way in the off season on the podcast. We'll continue to crank out an episode every week, and who knows, maybe we'll have some even more fun and exciting things for you. Maybe some different guests on the show throughout the off season. So definitely don't touch that dial. Don't go anywhere, and make sure you're sticking with us throughout the duration of the 2024 off season. But we are not at off season time quite yet. There's one more season of regular season football to go through, and this one is an interesting week for a number of different reasons. I'll just throw the ball to Aaron here before we get started. I mean, Aaron, when you look at the week 18 slate, last week of the regular season, like what are some of the things that you like to focus on this time of year with the NFL playoffs right around the corner?
Yeah, week 18, we were kind of laughing about that one. I think you called me a sicko for liking week 18. It wasn't always the case. I mean, week 18, I think I started off pretty slow in the DFS world. I wasn't caught up with different strategies to do. But I've really actually grown to love it. A couple trends I really love to do is you can't always go with your normal guys from, that put up, pretty strong seasons from your studs all year. Sometimes those studs, they don't play in week 18, as we'll probably see from CMC and a few other teams from around the league that have clinched their playoff berth, or at least their playoff spot specifically. So you got to kind of gravitate to other ways and other things to look at. And what I really love to do, the betting side of me, but also the money side, looking at that, is you got the last game of the regular season for non-playoff teams too. So you got player incentives, which are always fun to look at, to kind of go with as well. So that there's a lot on the line with some of the NFL players that even are not playing for the playoffs. They're playing for their own personal gains. So that's definitely fun. And then you do have the last teams just trying to clinch that playoff berth. So they're really going to be playing hard, playing their studs, and kind of really playing what got them to the point they're at, right? And keep going with that momentum. So you really got to go with those type of teams and that momentum, and that's what I found to be the kind of the strategy in week 18.
Love it. Got to play the calendar. You got to know where we are at on the calendar and know how to set your lineup around those different parameters. So good on you for having that strategy. I know it's worked well for you in the past on both the betting front and the fantasy front as well. So we'll see what you got up your sleeve here, Mr. Aaron Downtown Brown. You sicko when it comes to honing in on fantasy at the right time. But we don't have a told you so segment tonight. We did all set lineups last week, but we did not have an episode with all the holiday season and all of us having young families and all that. So appreciate the patience through last week not being there. We did have a contest. Naturally, I did end up winning it. So I'll just mention that quickly because why not? And with that, we're going to go into our bullish buys, guys that we're really high on this week that we think are going to be worth a high profile investment in week 18. So Ethan, we'll go to you first, my man. Who are you paying up for this week?
I am paying up for Rachaad White at $7,600. He is going up against the Carolina Panthers in what is a must win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if they do want to lock up the NFC South there. So I think Rachaad White has a massive day. The Carolina Panthers ranked 28th against the run. And as I said, the Buccaneers want to lock up that division. White had his worst game since week 6 last week, unfortunately. But since week 6, he scored 15 or more points every single game up until that week 17 dud. And I think it's a get right game for Rachaad White. I think he is going to get a heavy workload. I mean, he's just been an absolute beast this season. Rachaad White has been a pleasant surprise for obviously fantasy managers this year. And he helped probably a lot of people get to the playoffs. Unfortunately, that dud this past week may have cost some people a championship, but we need to look past that because I think he's gonna have a big week 18 matchup. ETN just scorched the Carolina Panthers this past weekend with 102 yards and a touchdown. Aaron Jones had 21 carries for 127 yards in week 16. So I think Rachaad White piggybacks off that and has a really good performance against the Carolina Panthers here in week 18.
Completely agree on that one. I'll just jump in here and just say he's also my bullish buy for the week. He's a guy that I feel like I talk about on the show just about maybe every other week, not more often sometimes. So I'm not going to rehash Rachaad White's season. Ethan did a really good job of covering the productive metrics that he's put up in 2013. Really a nice surprise. I think maybe the one thing that he really surprised me this year was with his ability to demand that big workload. That was one of the reservations I had of him coming out of the draft process. I remember he's a guy, Ethan, that I really liked coming out of the draft process. I just wasn't sure he was going to be able to shoulder such a big workload, and he's done that to his credit. So he was good for managers for the majority of the season. I think he's going to pay off again in week 18 with the Bucs in an absolute must-win game against the team that's been struggling in the Carolina Panthers. So, Aaron, are we doing a clean sweep here on Rachaad White, or is there someone else that you want to mention in this category?
Ooh, so guys, this worked out perfectly. There is somebody else I'm going to mention here, but I'll tell you why. So, I went cheaper with my bullish buy. In kind of I was anticipating you guys saying Rachaad White as well. So I was really hoping at least one of you would bring White up because I do have him in my lineup as well. So it is a clean sweep, but I want to bring up a guy who I'm bullish with this week. That kind of helped me or allowed me to fit Rachaad White's $7,500 price into my lineup. And that is a guy only going for 6,100. And as I said, you got to combine these strategies together. You got White in a must-win game. And I'm going to go on the other side of it with a guy playing that's got a lot on the line over $1 million in I'm sorry, over 1.125 actually $1 million on the line this week, and that's a guy by the name of DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to be bullish with him this week. If you guys can kind of remember back in the offseason, if you remember how Hopkins was like, yeah, I wanna go play for a playoff contender. I think we all kind of saw how that went, and he went and signed with the Titans and saw all those dollar signs, right? So I think nothing has changed this week. With week 18, I think he's still going to be seeing dollar signs with these incentives. He only needs 49 yards to make $1 million and 7 catches for another $250,000. So that's an easy 12 to 13 points if he hits those incentives. And the funny thing I find about this is he actually just caught 7 for 72 yards last week in their 26-3 loss. So they are targeting him. And he does get another over $200,000 for playing over 75% snap percentage in the year, and he's at 72%. So I expect him to be out on the floor, being over 90% snap percentage, and be targeted throughout the game, hit his incentives. I just really like DeAndre Hopkins this week because of all that. So Hopkins is my bullish buy this week.
That is the deep dive information that you can only get at Sunday Surefire, folks. I listen to other podcasts as well. I'm not just tunnel vision on our stuff. I'm in tune with what others in the industry are doing as well. But you listen to fantasy podcasts, daily talk shows, whatever it is. Like this type of content is not out there. So Aaron doing the homework and the deep dive of what these guys need for contract incentives. that does come into play this time of year, especially for a team like the Titans that really doesn't have much else to play for, and they can be a little riskier as well. They can go for it on the fourth down. They can take aggressive shots down the field if they want to, because it doesn't matter if they win the game or not. So good call on Aaron. I'm not gonna blast you at all for that here, Ethan. Where are you coming on Hopkins this week?
No, I like the deep dive. I like the homework that Aaron Downtown Brown just laid out for us. I think that's a great call just because week 18 for those non-playoff teams, it's about making the guys happy, getting their incentives. And as Aaron said, Hopkins went there because he saw a dollar sign, so he's going to make sure he gets every cent he can from the Tennessee Titans. So love the call out by Aaron there.
And speaking of teams that are completely out of the mix here, I'm actually targeting one of these teams here. And when we're talking defenses here, I want to go against the Denver Broncos this week as I start off our two deep segment here, talking defenses on the slate. And I'm going against the Broncos opponent this week, going against with the Vegas Raiders. And the Raiders themselves here, not too crazy cost wise, just $3,300 to get them in there. So kind of a middle of the road unit. They're certainly not winning every week on their own right, but they've been playing some inspired football as of late under interim coach Antonio Pierce. Defensively, they scored 12 or more points in 3 of their last 4 contests. And like I said, the Broncos, the team that I want to target. I mean, the team they've given up on the season when they benched Russell Wilson for all intents and purposes. So I just feel like this is an easy pack it in spot here for the Broncos with nothing to play for. And I think the Raiders, who their season's been over for a while, but they've really been fighting hard till the end. I think that continues. And for just $3,300, I think they can get you double digit scoring this week against a lowly Broncos team. So Ethan, what do you think about that? And then give me your defense for this week.
I love that call. I was very, very close to picking the Raiders myself. As you said, I think the Broncos are packing their bags for vacation. They're checking out. If you believe Sean Payton there, that the Russell Wilson benching was a football move to help this team win games. So whatever coach speak that is, but yeah, I just
I
think
think I think I believe Sean Payton less about that than I do that he knew nothing about trying to ring Brett Favre's bell 15 years ago. That
uh
that that piece of garbage liar.
Yeah,
But
that game was hard to watch for Brett Favre. I mean, the Saints were just like murdering that guy. But yeah, no, I agree. You can't believe a word that comes out of Sean Payton's mouth, and I just think this team's just ready to pack it in. And like you said, the Raiders have been playing very, very hard for their interim head coach there. The Raiders defense has been just awesome the last few weeks, except they did lay an egg in week 17, only scoring 1 point against Indianapolis Colts. But I do really like that call. I do think they have a very good week. So I didn't go with the Raiders because I may have let my the hometown bias come into play here, but I'm going with my New England Patriots. They're playing the New York Jets. The Patriots always play. I think make the Jets look stupid. It could be Bill Belichick's last game as the New England Patriots head coach, and I think the Patriots play up for him. I think whether it's Simeon or Wilson, whoever's playing quarterback. I know Wilson's still in concussion protocol. I think the Patriots make the Jets' lives very difficult, and I think they have a big day. They cost a little more than the Raiders at 3,600. I just think the New England Patriots are going to go out on a high note this year, and they're going to be playing for Bill Belichick, as this may be the end of an era in New England. So I'll be in attendance in Week 18 in Gillette Stadium. So I'm hoping the Patriots defense shuts out the Jets and has a big day.
the Pats have beaten the Jets in 15 straight games. That's not a mistake. 15 consecutive games. The Patriots have beaten up on the Jets, and I had the Pats in my lineup too. I took them out last minute for the Raiders. So I like that call. But Aaron, what do you think about our homerism here? Are you can you allot us this piece of homerism in a what's been an abysmal year for us up here in New England?
Yeah, for sure. I think those are two pretty solid defensive picks this week. I think with the Raiders, I think um they do very well as a unit against mediocre quarterbacks, I would say. And I would say Judge Stenham is probably subpar in the league. So definitely good call with the Raiders. They can get your sacks and force turnovers there. And then yeah, I can't argue with the Patriots. I mean, you can see how well they play against great offenses, right? They really turned it around. I mean, the defense had a lot going for them in the second half of the season, even after losing a lot of stars. So I know you guys are little down in the dumps, but you got maybe some early picks to look forward to and a pretty solid defense as well. So I think good call on both of those defensive picks. I went a third route and I paid up a little bit, almost 4,000 to 3,900. I went to Stack City and not the quarterback wide receiver approach. I kind of talk about this every once in a while. I like stacking my running backs with my defense. So I mentioned I had Rashad White. I'm going Tampa Bay 3,900 against our beloved Carolina Panthers again. Going back to the well. I mean, I think out of all weeks, Tampa Bay is going to even be playing on, they're going to be playing on high motors. I mean, if they were already going to, kind of shut Carolina down before, I think it's just amplified this week and a must win, win and you're in game for them. So yeah, just a lot of high energy in that game. So I went a different route, but I'm kind of going back to the well there with Tampa Bay for 3,900.
Aaron, I like it, but Ethan, how do you feel about it? Do you like his unorthodox Stack City approach here with their running back and a defense?
I like it a lot. He took a play from my playbook. I'm usually just starting the defense that's playing the Carolina Panthers every week, but that kind of burned me when I played the Packers, so I stayed away. But I mean, Jacksonville last week shut the Carolina Panthers out. They had 6 sacks. They had an interception. They just dominated the Carolina Panthers offense. I just want to say an apology to the Carolina Panthers fans out there because we have been bashing your football team all season, and the bashing continues. Unfortunately for you guys in Week 18, but no, I think Tampa Bay has a big day. I think the unorthodox stack allows Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense to thrive and allows Rashad White to get 20 plus carries. So I like what's going down in Aaron Downtown Browns lineup.
Okay, let's put a pin in the defensive talk here. Let's move into our pick six category. Here's where we start talking about those players that are undervalued that you can get in your lineup for super super cheap, and they're going to pay off for you big time this week. I'm gonna go to Big Blue here, a team that's out of playoff contention themselves, but I'm going to talk about a receiver by the name of Darius Slayton. He costs $4,000 to get into your lineup. He's a name that has popped up on the dynasty landscape a few years ago at this point, and he's kind of been pretty much invisible ever since, but he's kind of had a mini resurgence over the last few weeks, playing 86% or more of snaps in each of those games. And he scored a TD in back-to-back weeks, and he's walking into a matchup with a Philadelphia team that is the defending NFC champion, but their defense has been a leaky faucet in recent games. And right now they actually come in ranked 32nd against opposing wide receivers, and they're coming off a big loss last week where they blew it to a bad Cardinals team. So despite Slayton playing on a bad Giants team, I think that he can find the end zone maybe again this week. He scored against his team 2 weeks ago when they played, so I can see him having at least a quality enough game here to reward a $4,000 investment in him. So I'm starting out with him with here for $4,000 in our pick six category. What do you fellas say about that?
I like it a lot. I actually had Darius Slayton in my lineup, and then I switched him out. It's funny, I switched him out for another Giants receiver. Actually, I was I was I really like what Darius Slayton's been doing the last couple of weeks, but he's been surviving by the big play. He's had 2 massive touchdown catches in back-to-back weeks. So it scared me a little. I just don't know if he can do that in 3 weeks in a row. So I actually put in Wandale Robinson over Darius Slayton at the last second. I like the target share. I mean, Robinson had 9 targets last week. He scored pretty much 20 points. So he had a good day himself. And I like attacking that Philadelphia Eagles defense. So I like where the commissioner's head's at. We had the same thought process. I literally switched out Slayton for Robinson at the last second. So I definitely support that call.
Aaron, you coming along to Big Blue for this one?
It's I like the thinking on it. But I think my mind keeps going back what we said preseason where we were gonna say it's kind of like anybody approach at the wide receiver core. I like his mini resurgence as you're saying. I think just as far as me, I didn't have those stats looked at I guess looked up previous to tonight. So I enjoyed hearing that he's getting the 80% snap share now. Because I think before it was tough. It was almost playing like a mini roulette wheel. Whereas is it Wandale? Is it Darius Slayton? Is it Jalen Hyatt? Earlier in the season as well. Is it Waller now? He's back from injury. So Big Blue, I guess they kind of scare me as far as like picking who I think is gonna blow up, but I like going against the Philadelphia secondary. So I like that. But yeah, I think you've done your research. I can't really agree with it just because they kind of scare me too. But that's just my 2 cents there. But I guess I will go into my pick six here. My first player, he's a 4,600. He's also a wide receiver. I'm going with an Arizona Cardinal wide receiver. I'm going with Greg Dortch, actually. So he's quietly become the number one target ever since Hollywood went on injured reserve as far as the wide receiver goes. Last week, yeah, I guess he's just coming off 7 catches out of 7 targets as well. So high percentage catch rate lately with him and Kyler, 82 yards in that win over Philadelphia. So I like kind of under the radar Greg Dortch and kind of a meaningless game for Arizona, but they just came off that big win. But I mentioned contract incentives earlier in the show as well. But on the other side of the ball, you got Gino that if they can win the game and somehow still secure a playoff spot, being Seattle, Gino will win $2 million, or he'll get $2 million for his contract. So huge contract incentive. So I do think that's going to be a nice game script if Seattle can get up on Arizona. I think they're going to have to keep throwing the ball. So I like Greg Dortch and that offense trying to play catch up.
Woo. Okay. What do you think about Greg Dortch, Ethan?
I was actually looking at this receiving core, debating whether I wanted to potentially go stack city with Kyler Murray, who I have at quarterback at the moment, anyways. But I think Murray and the Cardinals are starting to find something. Obviously, they had a big win against Philadelphia. They put up 35 points. Murray had a big day last week, and I think Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals would absolutely love to play spoiler in a division game against Seattle and send the Seahawks pack. And so I do like the call. Like you said, he had 7 catches on 7 targets. I somebody's got to catch passes in that offense, other than Trey McBride. So I think at that price point, I think that's a pretty good bet to make in Greg Dortch.
Fair enough. Who do you got for us here? Who are you cheaping out on that's going to score fantasy points in Week 18?
So my first pick six player, I'm gonna go with Brandon Cooks at 5,200. I obviously I love the matchup against the Washington Commanders. The Dallas Cowboys are still trying to win the NFC East, so the Cowboys I'm assuming they're going to be playing their players. The Eagles and the Cowboys play at the same time, so it's not that they can see who's beating who, but the Cowboys are playing for something, and the Commanders really haven't been able to stop anybody through the air all season. I wanted a piece of this passing attack. CeeDee Lamb was a little too pricey for me. I believe it was over 9,000, not 9,100 or something like that. So I'll definitely take the discount with Brandon Cooks at 5,200. I think Brandon Cooks, I mean, he's always a threat to score, always a threat to have a big game. He had 17 points against Detroit last week, 5 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. So at 5,200, I think the upside is massive for him in this matchup. So I was happy to get Brandon Cooks in my lineup.
Aaron, are you rolling with Cooks? Are you hoping for a big play from him, or what do you think about that?
I did look at that game as well. Wanted to try to get one of the Dallas wide receivers in there, and Cooks I did gravitate towards. Ended up switching him out for Dortch. Just thinking wanted to go with that number one target, but I do like that. I did attacking Washington secondary has been a a great success rate for the last like 3 years. So I don't think you can go wrong attacking that defense. Um, but kind of just similar story where I think they have a couple guys that can score. Will Lamb put up another 30-point game or not? But yeah, no, I think regardless, Cooks has still been putting up points and in that offense. And the starters will definitely be out there securing that spot as well. So I don't hate it. I don't love it. But I definitely see where you're going with it.
Well, I really liked it because he was actually my second pick six player that I was going to discuss in Brandon Cooks for $5,200. So a lot of the same reasons Ethan mentioned. I won't rehash those points again, but I feel pretty confident in this one in a game that Dallas was going to want to win to lock up that division and get that home game in the first round. So give me all the Brandon Cooks I can get this week, and I think he's gonna have a crush spot here in week 18 to close out the season. So someone else give me one more player that they're high on. Who else is gonna go off this week at a low price point, boys?
All right, I guess I'm up here. I'm gonna go with my last strategy, one I didn't mention earlier in the show. And this
Oh
is one
boy.
where we
Oh boy. Buckle up,
this
guys.
is
Buckle up.
this is your last little week 18 little pointer here is if you can try to find cheap players in DFS on pretty good teams that are not playing their starters, sometimes a pretty nice approach to go. I mentioned CMC's not playing this week, so you got Elijah Mitchell as an example. Did not go that route. I went even cheaper. So I went a 2,500 guy. So brace yourselves
Oh
here.
yikes. I'm
I
scared.
would. This is the cheapest rate you can get on DFS on DraftKings, 2,500. But I'm going Noah Gray with the Kansas City Chiefs. I do believe the Chiefs are going to limit their starting play. I think with this play playing Gray, I'll throw out one caveat is just definitely listen a little bit maybe on Friday to see what Andy Reid says if he's going to play starters or not. But I think more than likely they're not going to play the full game. I think Noah Gray is going to step in for Kelsey. Um, he's already averaging close to 5 points a game. He's on a normal week, right? So I think he has a chance to double or triple that because he's playing against a historically bad defense against tight ends with the Chargers, right? So I think Noah Gray is a very sneaky play if the starters don't play this week. And once again, going that cheap can allow you to get some really nice pieces in your lineup, like the Rashad Whites of the world. So I went Noah Gray as my last pick six.
Yeah, we
I
actually you can go,
I don't even
Kanish.
know what to say with this one. It's such an Aaron downtown Brown take. I'm almost speechless here, Ethan. So why don't you just go and tell me what you think about the $2,500 play that is Noah Gray?
Honestly, I was just gonna say it was funny because we were talking about this Chiefs game prior to coming on the pod, and we were talking about how the Chiefs should sit Travis Kelsey. They're already locked in the playoffs. I don't think they can really do much to improve their seed. So I was like, hey, if I'm Andy Reid, I'm sitting Kelsey. I'm getting him healthy. The problem with that is if you start Noah Gray, it's it's great when Mahomes is behind center, but how long is Mahomes going to play? So if Mahomes only plays a half, maybe Noah Gray can go off for a half, but obviously it's a roll of dice. 2,500, you're not. I mean, if Noah Gray gets 10 points, you're crushing there. So it's definitely I definitely see where Aaron's head's at. And based on kind of how we thought this game was going to go, I actually don't hate the call because I do think he's going to be the starting tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs come Sunday.
Aaron downtown Brown hitting on this type of this call would be exactly something that he would do. But the problem with Aaron is, and I know he's gonna do this, he's gonna say, hey, I'm gonna throw at any time Noah Gray touchdown into a parlay. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yes.
And it's gonna start off wicked conservative, and it's gonna say, okay, yeah, Chiefs win, Gray touchdown. And then that's gonna spiral out of control to a 9-legger that's crazy, where the Gray touchdown comes to fruition, the Chiefs win, the other 8 legs come to fruition, and the last leg screws you at the very end, Aaron. How many times has that happened to you? Where you're onto something until you're not.
Too many times. I think you guys could attest with different screenshots and Discord conversations that definitely got to start round robining a little bit more. But yeah, I can definitely see that happening, and it ends up being Rashad White that doesn't hit or something like that.
Yeah, it's funny we're talking about big parlays. I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, "Damn man, I just missed my 9 leg parlay." And he's like, "Dude, he's like most people you usually don't hear, man, I crushed my 9 leg parlay. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, 9 legs is hard to hit. I mean, Aaron's out there sending $5 to win $200,000 and almost hitting. So you never know with this guy. He's right on the cusp."
He's right on the cusp. I mean, I'm definitely more the traditional better where like if I set a parlay, it's max 3 legs. That's where I've kind of settled into in my career. So Aaron kind of sort of gave us a little bit of a hot take there before we got to our hot take segment. So I guess we'll transition over to that now. Aaron, is there anything? Do you have anything for us lined up that's hotter than what you just gave us?
Well, you actually made me add a leg to it, so
Here we go,
I
folks.
did.
He's already doing it.
That's right. That's right. So I didn't even think about adding the Noah Gray anytime score, but that can be pretty juicy. So I do have a hot take. Um, I'm going back to the player incentives, and that's this one is a matchup that has a lot on the line. That's Houston Texans. Dalton Schultz will make an extra 250,000 with another 4 catches on the season. So I think that's very likely. So I think if you just have an easy take his over 3.5 reception prop this week along with the DeAndre Hopkins 6.5 catches, will get his incentive for going over 40 yards. I think that so there's 3 legs right there with 4 from Schultz, 7 catches for Hopkins, and then do the 40 plus. And then the last leg, I'll do it for your guys. Will be Noah Gray anytime touchdown.
Oh, I love it, love it.
Hey, I did have Elijah Mitchell in like 3 different parlays last week, so hopefully I'm on to something.
Yeah, you're always sniffing around those parlays, those massive parlays anyway. And one of these days you're going to hit one and remember us when you're rich and famous. But let's keep it spicy. Let's keep it going here. I'm going to actually go to a parlay for my hot take. It's like I said, I stick to 3 legs or less in the majority of my parlays. So that's what
Ooh.
I know this guy hates fun over here. But meanwhile, Ethan's over there just terrified to look.
I hate winning money. Come on.
Yeah, and when it comes to betting, Ethan's terrified to look at the spread of a game. So I'm gonna pick 3 spreads right in front of him.
Oh
So
God, I'm nervous.
so I'm gonna go Steelers minus 3.5, Patriots -2, and Seahawks -2.5. All those teams to cover those spreads. So 3 favorites to win against the spread. The Steelers and the Seahawks are both fighting for playoff spots against teams with nothing to play for. So those are a little more predictable, you could say. The Steelers and Seahawks need it. The other teams are playing don't. So not crazy there. 3.5 and 2.5 for the Steelers and Seahawks, respectively. It's nothing crazy. The Patriots are not in the playoff mix, but if you know the history of Bill Belichick, we talked about it earlier. The Pats own the Jets. Belichick was actually the head coach of the Jets for a day before he resigned. And ever since then, he's had an axe to grind with that franchise, whooping up on him at every turn, during the Brady years, even afterward. It's like the one team that he continues to just pummel each and every week. And even though it would actually behoove the Patriots to lose this game to lock in a top 3 draft pick, I know how stubborn Bill Belichick can be and what could potentially be his final game coaching. So I think that the Pats are going to make a mistake and win this game. So I'm gonna slap that into my parlay as well. So you slap those 3 in there, and it gets you plus 600 odds on DraftKings. So that's my hot take parlay. That 3 leg parlay. What do you guys think about that?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Only plus 600. That's a walk in the park for Aaron downtown Brown. That's not hot.
Yeah,
That's too boring.
that
Boring.
guy wipes his nose with plus 600 odds.
I love it though. I love it. The only thing you're missing is a spoiler. You gotta find an upset to throw in there, but
Yeah.
make it a fourth.
Maybe I'll find an underdog and just put them on an alternate spread at minus like 14.5.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Now we're cooking here. Hey, I'm feeling a little slighted. I was not given the opportunity to go over my second pick six player. Can I do that now, Kamish?
I want to say no with every fiber of my being, but I guess we'll allow you to go back and address it. I mean, you bet your hot take better make up for it though. So start talking.
Okay, so quickly. So this is kind of contingent on Kenneth Walker here. Kenneth Walker re-injured his shoulder this past week, and if he can't go, I think Zach Charbonnet is an absolute smash against the Arizona Cardinals, who rank dead last against the running back position, and according to PFF, have the worst run defense with a grade of 37.2. Running backs have been just decimated in the Arizona Cardinals. Zach Charbonnet, when Walker went out, was heavily utilized in the pass game. He had 5 catches, caught all 5 of his targets for 39 yards. I think he has a massive game if Walker can't go, and even if Walker can't go, I could still see him being a sneaky play. But obviously, if Walker goes, I don't love it as much. And if Walker does go, I would then probably turn to my just give it a little, I guess, bonus player. I like Juwan Johnson this week as well at 3,600. He's playing the Atlanta Falcons, who are bottom 10 against the tight end position. He's starting to come along in 19 targets his last 2 weeks, over 70% snap share, and 12 catches and 2 touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. Tight end 5 2 weeks ago, tight end 1 this past week. I think this is the guy that this is the guy I kind of expected to break out in 2023. I know he was injured early in the year, so maybe he's finally healthy. But Juwan Johnson has been taking the reins as a tight end 1 the last couple of weeks in New Orleans, and the Saints are trying to win that division, so they need to win. And I think they lean on Johnson. So if Walker goes, I'd I'd probably switch my pick 6 player to Juwan Johnson. But if Walker's out, I'm definitely firing up Charbonnet with confidence. So I guess I'll let you guys comment before I get into my hot take.
Aaron, what do you get to say on that?
I'm gonna just have to agree if Walker's out. Charbonnet play is definitely a good play. Just follow the injury reports on that for sure. I do like who you pivoted to, just for the simple fact of his catch he had last week. My God, I think that's probably catch of the year. That catch and front flip that he had on his head.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he looked great last week.
yeah, that was sick. So, I mean, for that alone, I'm with it, just for style points.
Gotta love the style points.
So speaking of style points, Ethan, what do you got for a hot take for us, my man? Better to live up to Aaron's.
My hot takes can never live up to Aaron's, but I'm going to stay away from the betting front. Even though I'm on a small heater, but I'm gonna go with my bullish buy Rashad White. I think I think Aaron's unorthodox stack with the defense and Rashad White, I think that goes in White's favor. And I think Rashad White is bell cow White. I think he gets over 25 carries, turns out 130 plus rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground. So I think he just has an absolutely massive day. And I think he just puts an exclamation point on what has been a great season for the running back.
You gotta
Okay.
be careful, Ethan. Anything you say can be turned against you in a parlay. So
True.
That's the life of every gambler. You start getting a little too confident on something, and that's where it catches up to you every single time. But I think we set all of our picks with confidence here tonight, and I think we can like most weeks, I think we'll get more good than we could get bad out of our picks here this evening. But that's what we got for you for week 18, folks. We'll keep this rolling into the playoffs as well. This will not be our final show about DFS. So there'll be more to come down the line as well. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms. We're on X at Sunday_Surefire, on Instagram at Sunday Surefire, and check out our Discord community too. Pinned on all of our social media channels, whether it's X, Instagram, or Facebook as well. We're on there at Sunday Surefire too. So check us out and hit us up, and we'll keep the winning picks coming. But until next time, folks, peace.